everyone.
Hi guys.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
It's just us today.
Yes. And our audience of my teddies.
Yes.
It was good to be back.
This is weird.
We say this every time. Every time we come back and it's like, oh, it's just us again.
Because it would have been like 6 weeks ago that you saw the two of us, right? Ish.
4. Oh my god, no, you're
6
right.
weeks, yeah. So,
oh god.
if you've forgotten
Summer holiday.
Yeah. If you've forgotten who we are on our own, I'm Liz.
I'm Lilyemma.
Welcome to, or welcome back to, Blonde Vibrations.
This is Champagne Whispers episode 40.
You know what else turned 40? It's not so recent anymore, but I guess the whole year. EastEnders.
Okay.
Hashtag
Okay.
EE Live 40.
EE Live 40.
EE 40.
Wow. Incredible milestone.
And someone now knows a bit about the lore of EastEnders.
I do actually.
And now 2 of us are getting EastEnders edits on their TikToks.
It's true. I am.
Stacey Slater.
Yes.
So yeah, what are we talking about this week?
So today, ironically, we're going to be asking the question of, are parasocial relationships between celebrities and their fans dangerous, or is it just not that deep?
So as you can see, a certain man is at the forefront of this discussion.
And it's actually a bit awkward because I've taken down my big poster of him who is now facing us.
Blonde Vibrations veterans know this, but if you've just stumbled across us for the first time and you're maybe not watching us, Lilyemma does have a few Harry posters and whatnot, just
There's
dotted
one
around the
missing.
room. Where is it?
I'm not sure. I think it might be behind the vinyl. I
Well,
think it needs a new home, to be honest.
I'm not sure what it is. Harry's house.
Yeah, Jasmine's Harry's house.
So yeah, I feel like we're quite knowledgeable on this topic. That's not to say you're parasocial. with
No,
Harry,
I'm
but-
actually, actively not, really. I think... Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan, but I don't think I'm parasocial.
You don't presume that you know him
No.
on a level beyond
No.
a fan status.
I know him well as a fan,
Yeah.
but, he's not my friend. I'm not wearing the Harry is my friend cap.
You know, Harry trivia, but you don't claim to be like, I was just
No.
with him last week.
Well, actually, I do, but, sarcastically.
Yeah. I want to say, before we jump into this, that it happens. If you've fallen into a parasocial relationship with a celebrity, whether it be a singer, actor, just someone in the public realm, it does happen.
Yes.
We've-
And there's no shame.
Yeah, we've fallen victim to it.
Yes.
And I will say that one of my first encounters of being like, why is this person not talking to me in the way that I think they should, is, I can't remember her name, if you know it, join in. The author of Pretty Little Liars.
You're joking.
Well, I didn't think she was my friend, so let me explain it. When Pretty Little Liars as the series was premiering, they would... Something King? No. I'm not. I think I'm thinking of Orange is the New Black. So whoever the author is of the series...
Becky's going to put it on the screen.
Arlene? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know her anymore.
noises. Arlene.
It's an old friend now. But she would always kind of live tweet Q&As.
I do think I remember.
Yeah,
that.
and I would absolutely take that to the extreme, and I would get really upset when she wouldn't respond to me. So I was like, I am a really big Pretty Little Liars fan. I know so much about you. I don't know her name anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why are you not responding to me? And I was like 14, so I
Yeah.
can't really be blamed at that age for thinking, because I didn't know.
I remember, so notoriously I was a very anxious child, and I remember my mum once said to me, she was like, why are you too anxious to do this? You can be at this concert full of a group full of loads of people or something like that. And it was a 5 Seconds of Summer concert, and I remember being like, because I know them. I was like, because I know exactly what's going to happen, and I stand by that. I absolutely I understand the logic there, but at its core, that's parasocial. It's like, because I know them, so I'm not anxious because I know them, and it's like, do you though?
Is it?
Do you really?
To get to know parasocial a bit more, I have written down the kind of modern usage definition of it, and it's essentially a one-sided friendship or relationship where their emotional energy, interest and time is going into something that they don't know personally. And when I first looked that up, the first big, or probably not the first one ever, but Beatles mania was the big thing that kind of started this, because everyone was like,
Yeah.
I actually know them. I know the Beatles.
We actually spoke about this in our last tuning in episode with Ocean and Leclerc, didn't we? We kind of said about how there's this, like, it feels like there's this rise of parasocial relationships, that it's in line with social media, and partially maybe in line with the, like, rise of the female pop stars again. And yeah, I kind of like that you brought up the Beatles, because I was thinking a similar thing. Like, it's easy for us to sit here and be like, it's because of social media, it's because you can see everyone's every day. But I also think, yes, but also no. It has been around forever.
As long as there's people, there's the potential to form relationships.
People
that
had
don't
a
really
One
exist.
Direction. I'm so sorry. Larry, please. Like, what do you know about that? Sorry.
I have written about One Direction later as well on my notes, because
it's just like,
that feels like our generation. Well, they were our generation's Beatles. Like, they are. Sorry.
No, yeah, they absolutely are. It's just so funny.
Also, 5 Seconds of Summer did come. That was like the One Direction cinematic universe. It felt like Five Sauce were like the big spin-off that people still love.
It's giving the originals from the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah. And I will also say that I was huge on Five Sauce, and if they're one of their accounts, their Japan account, followed me on Twitter, and I was like, I know them then.
Their Japan account.
And you probably also feel this. If someone in like the fandom would say something wrong, you'd be like, I know more than you. I know them. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't say that.
Yeah. And I remember, like, after I saw them in, I think it was the same time with my mum, when I saw them in Brighton, I was walking around with, like, a couple fans trying to find their hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, I don't know, I just don't picture them in that hotel. Like, we'd be outside a hotel and I'm like, I'm just not, like, getting a vibe that they're in this hotel. And it's so just like, what do you know about that?
Well, it's when all the Acacia Brindley stuff came up. And I was thinking, like, Luke wouldn't do that. Not my Luke.
Not my Luke.
Not my Luke.
Hashtag not my Luke.
Not Hemo. Hemo 1996.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been there, is what we're trying to say.
Absolutely, yeah.
It happens.
And I
to
never
the
want
best
to
of us.
seem like we're talking about fandoms as a thing that's separate from ourselves. I think we do a very good job of kind of saying, like, hey, we are like journalists, but we are you. Like, we are fangirls at core. And yeah, I never want to, like, sit here and seem like we're making fun of fangirls, because it's like, we've been there, we probably will be there again. Like, it's fine.
Well, we want to do a whole fangirl series because there's the whole, like, does the fangirl in you ever die? And I think the parasocial side can die.
Yeah.
I do feel that. But you can still remain in the fandom.
But I also think you're always at risk of a parasocial friendship. Like, I think you're always at risk. Like, I actually, like, I agree. I think you kind of grow out of it at its core. But I do think you're always at risk of it.
It can happen to people in real life.
Oh my god, it absolutely happens to us in real life.
We know it happens to us in real life. I can think of one person that would love this conversation, to be quite honest. Yeah, there's definitely people in day-to-day as well, so it's not even just someone that's unattainable.
But I think the problems arise when it's someone unattainable.
You can say a lot of things about a celebrity if they're just far enough out of reach that nothing can ever really be proven wrong. Does that make any sense? You know, if you said, I was texting Harry, he said, don't tell anyone. But I have actually seen him twice this week. He's so far away that he's not going to catch wind of this. Yeah. He can't really turn around and be like, not true.
Yeah.
But you can. He is big enough that you can be like, I can't show the text though.
Yeah.
Signed an NDA.
Yeah.
Because that is his level. I'm sorry, Harry, that you are the scapegoat for a lot of this. But it happens.
Yeah. I agree. It also, like, gets more awkward the older you get. Because the older you get, the harder it is to tell those lines. Yeah. Like, because it's like, they're like your equals.
Yeah, because it's not the difference between a 13-year-old trying to, like, befriend, like, a 29-year-old.
Yeah.
If you're actually, you could be in the same social sphere in any other circumstance, that's when it's a bit weirder. Yes. But we'll get into that later on, because we're actually starting with why it's okay.
Yeah.
We kind of, like, set our stance a bit too early there.
Yeah.
And my first point is, and I've even written, take it with a big pinch of salt, because there is an answer against it, but who is it hurting? Who is it really hurting? You know, if someone genuinely does want to invest their time, money, energy into, you know, getting excessive tickets or following them around, you know, again, pinch of salt, following them on tour and messaging them, having exchanges online or in person, if they are aware of the boundaries, even if it is parasocial, what is the harm?
I agree. I was thinking, like, as humans, connection is kind of natural and it's going to happen. And I think, especially, I kind of feel a bit more neutral about it in relation to music artists, because you listen to an artist and you're like, I feel that, or I get that, and they understand me. And I think connection is kind of bound to happen when you have artists really sharing their thoughts very candidly, that normally would be a conversation between friends. So yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of like natural, and I think it's good. Like, I think it's good to like care at its core. Like, if you've got this, like, if you are a fan, you care about someone, I think that's like a really like nice thing.
It shows good emotions within you. And also, we have discussed the more extreme length of a parasocial relationship already, but the vast majority isn't really going to be anything more than just innocent things of interactions at barrier of a show, or seeing them after, or, you know, they're tweeting each other, the artist is in a group chat with a bunch of fans and they get exclusives for, you know, merch designs or things like that, USB files of songs and things like that. I don't think any of that is too bad of a thing at all. That is just creating a nice culture with the fans on the artist's perspective, and it's just community at the end of the day.
And I think there's a lot of problems with the integration of social media with the music industry, but I think that community that is really being able to blossom because of that is really nice when it's nice.
Yeah.
Like, not to like fast forward, but I think like at its simplest, at its purest, it's really nice. And I think there are some communities that do it really well. Like, I don't want to like start naming and shaming people, but this one's like a positive one, like Lilyemma Eliz bands.
Yeah.
Like, that is like, like we spoke to her about this, like it's such like a sweet and welcoming environment where it's really people who get one another and get along and really bring out the best sides of people. And I think that's an example of like relationships between fans, relationships with an artist that is kind of like harmonious. I don't want to speak on something that I'm not like necessarily, like, I'm not in the group chats, like I actually don't know, but from the like forefront, like shout out Lilyemma HQ.
Yeah, the Maybells.
Shout out Maybells.
Yeah. But it is true. It's, you know, mutually beneficial a lot of the time as well. So from the fans' perspective, this artist that is really speaking your truth sometimes really gets you on a deeper level. If you have the opportunity to speak to them more than just hearing their music in your ears and going to the show and kind of not really facing anything more than like a 2D version of who this person is, if you can get to know them a bit more, I find it hard to believe that anyone would really turn that down.
I agree. I think that's just like, I think it's really nice. I think it's really nice that music can now transcend, here's an album, here's a show.
Yeah, if you then, you know, get in this group chat or you meet them after a show and you can say to them, this song means so much to me, and they say, well, here's what was actually happening when I wrote it. And then you get a deepened connection through that. That's not a bad thing at all. And then from the artist's perspective, you're not just releasing songs into the void and it's just streams and figures and knowing where you fall on a chart. You can actually see the people behind the screen on the other end, who is listening, who is connecting. And for a lot of artists, that makes a lot of difference as well. Again, Lilyemma, but a lot of the smaller artists as well, they really nurture the people that do listen to them, especially in the beginning stages of their careers, because there's less.
It's an appreciation as well of their presence, isn't it? At its simplest explanation.
And it's not to say that the artist will only ever see you as fan. Like, they can look at you. It's not that they will never value you as a person. If they meet you after a show, they're probably just as happy to see you. Like, depending on if it's like good circumstances for them. Why would they won't have a problem with it. They would love to know how much you resonate with a song and things like that.
I also think like it is possible to transcend the fan to friend pipeline, and please don't take this as like, I'm sorry if you're like under 18 and like you're like fan obsessed. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying like Harry is going to be your best friend. Like, please don't twist these words.
This isn't a step by step on how to become Harry's best friend.
But I do think like there is a certain line in which you can that can move. You know, like everyone we've ever interviewed we've been fans of. I think there's a certain line that you cross where it's like you can't be friends because, like, you know too much and you're just a bit too, like, assuming of things. But I think there is, like, a sweet spot where it's like, I like your music, we're similar age brackets, we do similar things, we have the similar hobbies, this actually could be a friendship. And I think, like, that sometimes gets clumped in with parasocial, and I don't think it is.
Well, I had this, and I can't remember her surname, if I ever did know it. I don't think I did. I was going to put this name in somewhere, but I didn't quite know where it'd fit, and I think it's here. Nadia on TikTok. She is a fan of everyone, ever, but she is also actually friends with all of them. Her friendship with Charlie XCX isn't parasocial.
No.
They're not best friends.
No.
But they do know each other, and like that is also okay. She was just a fan. And also, when you get to the leagues of really well-known celebrities, it's like most people are fans. They still have to make friends somewhere. Just because they knew your music, like it, followed you before you knew them, that could always be the case. Like, I could have followed you on Instagram a few months before meeting you.
Doesn't mean you're a fan.
That doesn't mean that I was in some parasocial relationship waiting to make my, like, move on you. Or, like, vice versa. She wasn't, like, waiting for me to, like, get on, like, a human level with her.
I remember being like, who's Eliz?
Yeah, like...
Who is that?
But sometimes...
What is an Eliz?
But sometimes you can follow someone. You could be like, oh, I've actually followed you for years. Now we're friends. Like, that's so weird. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I think a pro to parasocial relationships is that I feel like it's taking the celebrity off a pedestal, which was one of my main thoughts, that it's not hurting anyone, because I feel like in order to have a parasocial relationship, you need to have a thought that you're equals. And I think I kind of, in a way, prefer this idea of like a relationship with your fan base rather than like a really strict fan god. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like while we're talking about the old One Direction 5 Stars days, and while there was a like select few who was like a weird middle ground, I think for the most part it was very much like, here's an idol, here's a fan. And I think that because of parasocial relationships, I feel like it's more like, here's an artist, here's a fan. And I feel like you kind of get closer to understanding that they're just people.
Well, I actually did ask a few of you guys on TikTok about this, and someone said that parasocial relationships are really rife in the K-pop community. Or even, they're called idols, aren't they?
Oh,
like, they are idolized in a sense.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean
so
about
are you
this.
saying that they still exist, parasocial relationships
because they're idolizing them, whereas if they see them on like the same level, like what you're saying, maybe it wouldn't be as much
toxic.
Yeah. And
so it's the different levels of parasocial level, like that's not.
And I guess a flip side of that, and more with what you've said, is role model, which, hear me out on role model, is people do see him as equal. Not, maybe this is just on the side of TikTok and social media that we see. Maybe we're just on a good side of it. But people do seem to think of him as just some guy that makes music. And we're all kind of chill with him, and he interacts with us on TikTok. But, I mean, we don't...
I wonder if it's something to do with also the more, like, within the past, maybe, like, just under 10 years, we kind of have taken a step from pop hits to here's how I feel. Like, I think maybe like post-COVID especially, I think people are really making music and being like, this is how I actually feel really candidly. And I think for the most part artists are doing that now. Because if you think like 2010's pop, it would be like, I'm going to this party.
Next club.
Yeah, like One Direction, like, do you know what I mean? Like, no hate to One Direction, but like, you know, it's like, you're so beautiful, you're so insecure, but like, you're so beautiful and I love you, and like, they don't know about how perfect we are. Whereas I feel like now, and the reason why I'm thinking is because I am thinking about Kansas anymore, it's very much like you did this bad thing, I did this bad thing, we're all people, we're all imperfect, you know. And I do wonder if maybe this new trend of being really like honest in your storytelling is kind of feeding into this idea that, you know, artists are just humans.
Yeah, like the music being more human just reminds you that they are someone just like us. But I also question, can we make that judgment because we are older?
We can tell the difference.
We are more mature in that sense. If we were listening to the same music 10 years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago,
you wouldn't be thinking,
oh, they're so human.
Oh, Tucker's just like some guy who's just like, he's just screwed up a relationship, low-key, like, sorry, Tucker.
Would you be thinking, wow, role model saying, look at that woman, I'm going to be that woman?
Yeah.
And we can't really ever know, because we're not going to ask children about this.
No, I don't really wish to engage with like under 18.
No, absolutely not.
I don't know, food for thought.
My last point on this is kind of, and I wanted to separate it away from just general listening to music and being a fan of people and moving over into like the are we friends zone. Some people are lonely, like there is loneliness in how you connect to music, and if you found this person that really speaks to your soul beyond every other music, then you might move into wanting to be friends with them. And again, for now, what is the harm in that? If someone is finding a connection that they don't have in the rest of their life, what is the problem? Again, they're not taking it too far, which we'll get onto very shortly. Is it so bad? I mean, if you see yourself as, you know, Harry gets me, he's kind of my friend in that sense, or like, you know, Tucker, I just went through a really horrible heartbreak and I have no one around me, but Tucker's kind of speaking
Tucker understood me.
He's speaking some truths here, so I guess he's kind of my only friend.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
And I do think that with the parasocial relationship to the artist, it's giving aim for the moon and shoot for the moon. What is it? Aim for the moon, and even if you fail, you'll land somewhere among the stars. It's giving that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're friends with Harry, but like you're gonna end up with a little fan group of Harrys, and you're gonna make friends. And do you know what I mean? I think I think if it goes down the right path, parasocial relationships with artists can open the door to non-parasocial relationships, social relationships, if you will.
I will. So now,
yes,
the side of the argument that we've all been waiting for is the dangers of parasocial relationships. So this is almost the B side from the A side, that is, it's not that deep. On part 2.
My first thought, and mainly because I want to get it out of the way because it's on a different page to the rest, is that, and again, it's something that we were talking about with Ocean the Clown, we were talking about fan bases, is like the difficulty of telling when artists are creating a community for like genuine reasons, or whether they're seeing it as like a marketing ploy. And I wanted to characterize it as a get clout quick scheme, which I thought was really funny. And I think the problem now is because parasocial relationships in the music industry is so trendy right now, it does feel like a lot of artists can see it as a chance to just get clout really quick, because everyone will just become obsessed and be ride or die.
Well, realistically, as an artist, you would know that, you know, if you promote this ethos of like, every person that listens to my music is my friend, I don't have listeners, I have a family, I go on live a few times a week, what have you,
and we all just chat.
Yeah, you know that these people are at some point going to start seeing you as friends, and if you are a big enough artist or detached enough that like you would know like, what's going to happen, surely.
And I also think the problem with that get clout quick scheme is that you kind of are like taking advantage a bit out of sorry but lonely people. Like, you know that a lot of people on the internet are on the internet because they don't have many friends. They like may not have a lot of friends at school, so they're on the internet to build connections and to get a community. And by being like, I know everyone's name, if you listen to my music, like, I can guarantee we're going to be best friends. It's kind of like almost like pre-blackmailing, being like, if you listen to my music, you will have a friend, which I do understand if you're being really genuine, but I also think that unfortunately, like, the music industry and social media is a dark place, that people will use that. It's just a way to get followers.
If you're fostering these friendships with listeners authentically and organically, you know, you do like listener meetups and you take the time and You go to a park somewhere and you really get to know them. And then you can say, you guys are my friends. You're like my OGs or whatever. Like, that is so different to being like, you know, I'm going to do this launch party that you can enter or pay or what have you. And then you're my friends.
Yeah.
Like, there's this barrier. It's like a paywall to get into being this, like, VIP group.
And it's a really difficult line to draw, I feel, because I am all for moving away from the fan title. Like, we are fangirls, but I do really like when I see artists kind of stay away from the fan title a bit, and they would prefer, you know, listeners or followers, you know, rather than like, this is a fan, because I think there is kind of a connotation with the like celebrity fan dynamic that the celebrity can just live their life and the fan will just kind of chase after them. So I am in support of that, but I think there's a very layer of thin ice.
Yeah, referring to them as listeners just treats them with basic respect. That it's not just like fans are below me and they worship me, but taking that to the extreme of saying you'll be my friends, that's kind of setting expectations that then the artist can't really follow through on, because if you're saying friend, then the listeners are thinking, so are we hanging out? Are we going to this? Are we going, what are we doing now?
Becoming friends isn't that easy. You can't just be like, if you like my music, we'll probably be good friends. I actually don't think you know that. Like, I genuinely don't, like, the amount of people that listen, I could name a few that could listen to the same artists as us that I would not be friends with, and that's no shade. It's just like, we are such different people. The only thing we have in common is that one artist. We're not meant to be friends, and that's okay, and we don't need to pretend that we will be. So for you as an artist or a celebrity to be like, if you like this thing, then we'll be good friends, I don't believe that to be true. I think on paper you could be really well suited to be friends with someone, but I think in practice you actually probably not.
It also feels that laying down the bait of you're going to be my friend and treating fans as if you are in my friendship group now, is that it's not to say that your fan base is full of young people, but people are getting access to media younger and younger. They will be able to find these things, and they are impressionable. They haven't seen this before. They don't know that that's not actually what it means.
It's the young people that are more susceptible to falling for it.
Yeah, I mean, we could see a thing being like, we're going to be best friends. That's who you are. We are best friends, and that's what it is. Like, we're just a little family. We can see that as adults and take that to mean like, oh, marketing ploy, or like whatever it might be, or just
like, here's a new, and I'm not adding anyone, please don't think I am, but like, here's like a new group chat for sorts chatting, and it's actually just that person putting in new releases and being like, pre-save.
Yeah, but like a young person, and it's not to discredit how intelligent they are, but realistically,
you're more vulnerable.
Yeah, they won't have seen things like this before, as they will think, so now we're friends. So now I expect more from you in return, if we really are friends, like you say we are. Yeah.
I think, I feel like we stay on the like danger to the fan, and then we move over to maybe the danger of the artist. And I think that also, in a very similar sense to that, I think, okay, so you fall for this honey trap, and you think you're best friends with this artist. You are at such a risk of being disappointed by the person, because you think you know them. I think we've spoken about this before. You think you know them, and then they do something out of character, and you feel personally hurt. Because imagine if Eliz went and did something really out of character tomorrow. I feel so like, what?
That's not who I thought you were.
Yeah. So I don't think that's like shameful to then have that emotion when a celebrity does it. And also you're at such a risk of being taken advantage of in so many ways, because that person like has you round their finger pretty much.
Yeah, they can get you to buy more albums, come to more shows, buy more merch. They can do like my best friends, you get access to this merch, so now you can buy it. They are not losing anything, but you are at risk of losing your money and time. Yeah. And you know, artists don't promise you them being a good person. They hardly even promise you music. They can release music if and when they want to. And it's kind of the whole like Zayn smoking thing is sorry to bring One Direction back up, but you know, so many people really form these parasocial relationships with One Direction that when Zayn smokes, that crushed the hearts of so many people, because that wasn't our Zayn. That wasn't the one that should be a good person and do right by his body.
Looking after his vocal cords.
Yeah, and what was it, like, hashtag stop smoking Zayn? And people were making, like, edits of how much it would hurt him and he was going to be killed by it and things like that. Is that okay for the fan to have to endure that sort of... It's obviously annoying for the artist as well, but for the fan's perspective, you will be potentially set up for this disappointment or even disgust at what these people are doing.
Because they're people and they're not like what you actually think. I think no one is ever completely your own image, especially with people who you barely know.
You're just friends with a projection of what you deem them to be, not what, through hanging out with them and time telling, who they actually are. And that's not the fan's fault. It's some sort of blurred line in between, because it somewhat takes two to tango in this, but it's the fan that's going to be disappointed. I mean, if you stop listening, there's other people listening to the artist, but you lose out on the connection that you thought you formed, which is like a sad place to be.
I agree. Yes.
I have also said that from the fan's perspective, that it then does become harder to know where the boundaries are in thinking that you know them a bit more than you do. And I'm going to bring up One Direction again. Sue me. Is fans thought that it was okay to show up to Liam's funeral.
Yeah.
And taking every other weird issue with that away from it, the fans really thought that that was okay because they've had this...
They've lost someone too.
Yeah, they've had this decades-long relationship with this artist. They thought they were on the same level as. And that's, you know, that's sad for everyone involved because it's not okay to do. And it's breaking a boundary that you maybe didn't even know was set in stone like that, because you wouldn't have thought that you'd had to have set it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. And it is then that pain on both sides of the fans having to realise actually that's not something for you because you weren't actually connected to Liam, but it's also hard for his real life loved ones to have to be like, you guys can't come.
Yeah, like
that's not a nice situation for anyone.
Yeah.
Because in both parties are hurt.
Even when it's not as drastic as a funeral, showing up to people's houses and other
Jack
events.
And Margaret's wedding.
Yeah, it's... You've shown up to something because you have a skewed version of what you believe your relationship to be, but as soon as kind of the lights come on and what is actually happening is uncovered, there's so many other people who are being affected by it. Like family members of the people that you thought you were friends with. Like, what now?
Yeah. Sticky situation.
Exactly.
I think, and I feel like we've discussed this before, is that a real risk to the artist is that fans get really entitled when they feel like they've got like a special connection with you. It does go back to the whole stop smoking Zayn. Is it that sounds like someone smoking Zayn? Zayn stop smoking.
It's something with Zayn and smoking in. Quit smoking.
But even then it sounds like
Zayn.
They're smoking Zayn.
We'll tell Becky.
But anyway, it's to do with the like Zayn should stop smoking campaign. Is that actually he doesn't owe the fans to quit smoking. Like it doesn't affect them. It's his own life. He can do what he wants, and the fans thought it was up to them to be like, you're going to ruin One Direction because you're going to die because you're smoking. You have it again with like Billy when she stopped putting her hand out during songs because people were like snatching things. And then people were like, oh, now she's not doing that. Like, why is she not doing that anymore? Like, I've already started the queue for the next night. It's just not putting her hand out in the crowd anymore. Like, that is insane.
Billy has had to change so much about the way she puts herself out there.
Even her outfit.
Yeah, it's like her body, her property, you're taking her rings. Her music, you said that she was queer baiting when she was actually just queer.
A child trying to figure out their life.
Yeah, like, you thought that you knew her so well that she was dancing with women, and you deemed that wrong because of what you perceived her sexuality to be. On another level is SZA basically saying like, I don't want to release this music. You guys are forcing me to release this deluxe, or tell me that it should be a separate album, or this, that, whatever. You don't know me.
It's my music.
So she wanted to withhold the music, and then people got mad at her for that. She could actually just not release something for years.
Which she has done.
Yeah, you have to be okay with that. Yeah. Harry. He has not released in a couple of years. Harry over there in the corner. Yeah. He's not released in a couple of years. And then people are kind of like, oh no, I get it. I get the whole, where's Harry? I miss Harry. Yeah, like I get it. I miss Harry. I want Harry to release music. But it's also like, the man just lost like someone who he was in a band with for years. Like it was like, regardless of what you think about One Direction's friendship throughout the years, that was one of his closest friends. He spent like his late childhood to early adulthood with Liam, and you're gonna be like, why isn't he releasing music? Give them time to grieve. And even to a certain point, wanting a One Direction reunion for Liam, and I'm aware that this is coming out after the Brits, so if it happens,
ignore what I said. But I think I saw an argument online that was like, everyone wants One Direction to reunite at the Brits for Liam's tribute, and I get it, and I want it now that we have tickets.
And that's our truth.
But I saw something online that was like, why do you want them to grieve publicly? Like they had their most of their childhoods and young adulthoods in the limelight. Why do you want to see that? Like actually, like why do you want to see them on stage and talking about it? To the same point of people being like, why were their statements so short? Why are their statements so insincere? It's like, why do you want to see people's pain? And I feel that a lot, and I feel like there's another episode in that, and that like maybe about like social media and how good and bad you really should show. But I agree. I think, why do you want Harry to release an album right now? Like, why do you want him to have to do press where he's gonna get asked about it? Like, why can't you just like let him live and go to Italy with his dad and just like exist? Why do you need content out of these people when they're going through traumas? And that goes to any artist ever, whether you know something's going on or not going on. Why? Like, it's the same with wanting an Ariana tour. Like, let her live.
Well, you know, it's even, and this is going back to Billy, is after, and again, this is something that I would have fallen into. I did. After the Grammys, when she lost everything, everyone really made the point of connecting to her and how bad she must feel. Yes, that is true. Whatever. But then it's, well, actually, when you take away everything that you personally feel towards this rich celebrity who actually made millions off that album, it still broke so many records, and she's still touring it quite happily. But we've projected this feeling that she must feel like she can never record a song again, and she will never return to the limelight after this tour is done. It might be true, and you know, we were even having similar discussions, but when you think about it in this context, it is, well, do you know her?
No.
And then she goes online and sees everyone doing this pity party for her. She never asked for it. No. She might actually be okay.
And I think the same with Taylor as well, isn't it? There is it's the whole, I'm having his baby, no I'm not, but you should see your faces. Like, there is such a nature that, I mean, we started this discussion ironically with being like, oh, you can kind of get away with it a bit more with bigger artists, but also when it's a bigger artist, the fan base is bigger, so your combined voices are louder. So why do you think, oh, Harry's not going to see me tweeting, where's HS4?
But a million people
tweet, where's HS4?
You might see it.
Or like, you know, management see it and they're saying, you know, the people are demanding a new album. It's the same as people being like, you should break up with Matty. What do you know about those people? What do you actually know about Matty Healy that you can sit there at Taylor and go, you shouldn't date him? I understand the presentation of Matty Healy that you see is a bit like in poor taste. I understand that, and I understand the like hatred, whatever. But who are you to say, like, Taylor's better than that? What, Taylor, why are you dating him? What do you know about that? What do you know about these two people? Like, arguably, like, two of the, like, really famous people. Sorry, that's been on my chest since Tortured Poets.
Do you know what, on an even more basic level, that we can see in real time what people said online affected this person that they don't know? And even the speculation after what happened, we don't know if it's connected. Once again, our own perception of it is being put into the narrative. Is Drew Starkey dyeing his hair and eyebrows, bleaching them blonde? Everyone slagged it off, and a couple of days later he reverses it.
Well, he doesn't reverse it, he puts makeup on.
Yeah. The first argument being, you shouldn't have commented on his appearance, like, you know him now, he's changed it. It's also, maybe he didn't change it because of that.
Maybe he just didn't want bleached eyebrows that day.
You're then deciding that he felt bad over the situation.
Yeah.
And wanted to empower himself in a different way to change his appearance again. All of this is what's one thing that we're not hearing from? The artist. So how would we know what they're really feeling about the matter?
Yeah. I think at its core, I feel like I just had an epiphany as we got really angry about this whole thing, is that parasocial relationships in the sense of community and meeting people and having connections and building an artist and supporting an artist, good. Parasocial relationships and the idea that the artist owes you something, or that, I mean, we've not even touched on what happens when these parasocial relationship communities get toxic. I feel like that's a conversation for another day, because I feel like we'll be here for hours. When you become entitled as a fan, when you start commenting on things you're not allowed to comment on, when you just like speak too much online, which again is another conversation for another day. There's a line that is crossed, and I feel like it tends to be with bigger artists, because it's almost like you're in this echo chamber where you think that's okay and it's not okay.
Yeah, because you think it's never going to reach them.
Yeah.
But then, as the fans, if they then see everything and they decide to retreat and not share themselves online as much anymore, fans then get annoyed. Chapel Roan.
Yes. And also Zayn.
Yeah.
Is that Zayn's like fan base halved when he left One Direction, because he was like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. Because I'm not doing world tours. I'm not like releasing songs that other people have written.
Yeah.
I'll do shows when I want to do shows. I'll release music when I want to release music. I'm not doing the whole press thing. I'm not doing the whole social media thing. And his fan base halved.
I think it's, with the fans, there can be toxic people and there can be great people. So it's not that fan bases create negative parasocial relationships. But as they're starting to unfold and develop, if the artist has noticed this, they can put the boundaries in place way earlier on, so it doesn't have to get to a point of wanting to retreat and get away.
Yeah, I agree.
My final point was just, in general, to both parties, is be careful, because with everything you see online, it is online. As soon as you log off and step away, it's not what it once was. So if you're looking and thinking that you're friends with an artist, as soon as you log out of that account, are they messaging you? Do they have your phone number? Are you actually...
Do they actually care about you as a person?
Yeah, are they meeting up with you through, like, not you just showing up to where they are because you know that's where they are on that day? If it's a no, maybe that is parasocial and you have the knowledge to know what to do with that next. It's not saying that you are then toxic. It's just a parasocial relationship. That word in itself isn't necessarily negative, but it can become negative once you know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
And for the artist, is, can you see it happening? Can you do anything to stop it?
Yeah.
Are you promoting it to try and benefit from it and make more money and get bigger? Because then that's when you're the problem.
Yeah. That's really in line with what my conclusion was. My conclusion was, I actually think any relationship is dangerous because someone cannot show their true colours, but parasociality can definitely magnify this, because you don't know the full side of someone. But I think, like, the problems that we're talking about can happen whenever. They can happen with, like, your manager at work. They can happen with your childhood friend. The problem that comes with parasocial relationships is the results, and not like what you're saying is not the relationship itself. And I think, like, you're always at risk because you're always making connections because you're a human.
Yeah,
and that always can end in hurt.
It's looking at the situation, deciding what to do with it. I have a parasocial relationship with Seffi and Wing.
Oh my god, yeah.
See it also Sophia and Cinzia. However, I don't act on it. I just feel like I know them more than I actually do.
Yeah.
But I don't choose to do anything with that information.
And also, we don't actually, like, know that much.
Yeah,
we consume what gets put out in the world.
Yeah.
But also, if we ever get Seffi and Wing on the podcast, mind your business and pretend that you've not heard this.
Like, it's okay because we just consume their media. Like, someone here listening or watching us could actually have a parasocial relationship with us.
And one day we might be friends, and that's completely different because it's not like you're just consuming things.
Yeah, it's not to say that if you are in a parasocial relationship with someone, it won't be a real friendship one day. However, the danger lies in assuming that it already is or will be.
I agree.
And I think that's where I full stop underline. Yeah, so
amazing. Well, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you've been enjoying the tuning in episodes.
This year is coming in hot for Blonde Vibrations.
It is. Yeah,
it is.
But yeah, I just feel like it's been such an exciting start to the year. We have got more exciting things hopefully coming up by the time you're watching this, which you wouldn't have known about. But just know that hopefully we've got something up our sleeve.
A collective worn sleeve.
Yes.
All right, we share a sleeve, sure. If you really liked this or want to know what else we have to say, we have a website on the screen, or it's blondevibrations.co.uk if you're listening. Our Instagram is blonde_vibrations. Our TikTok is blonde vibrations. That's good if you want to have an active say on what we're going to discuss.
Yeah, that's a good discussion point. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it.
Smash that like button.
Or give us 5 stars on whatever platform you're on. Things like that really help us out. Maybe leave us a little comment on your thoughts and we can keep these good vibes going.
And let's have a little parasocial relationship, bestie.
And make sure you're like following and subscribing wherever you're listening, please.
But I do feel like whoever listens to us is our friend. Like, that's parasocial on the reverse. We're in the position where we can manipulate someone, but I actually love all of you.
We're always viewing your guys' stuff. Like, I'm always there, like, tapping through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this conversation's gonna keep going.
Parasocial relationships are the real friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Horrible saying. Don't take that as like Bible.
You're gonna have to put it in the description.
But thank you so much.
We're gonna go get at my Too Good to Go bag.
Ooh.
New obsession.
Baked goods too good to go.
Yeah.
See you when we see you.
Bye, guys.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye. Oh, I can't reach the off button.